Hi, I'm Jamie Mitchell, and welcome to the second episode of the Unnamed Big Wave podcast. In this episode, we talk to none other than big wave huntress Emi Erickson. From her childhood growing up in Hawaii to moving to the East Coast, then moving back to Hawaii in her teens, surfing Sunset for a full year on a boogie board before she learned to surf, and then becoming one of the premier big wave surfers in the world. I had a great time talking with Emi, so I hope you enjoy it. Take me through the COVID-19 for you. Like, what has it been like? What's been your routine with just like sort of? I mean, we're lucky, right? We get to actually still surf in Hawaii. But what have you been doing? You've been able to work, still get some waves. What's been happening?
Yeah, I guess it's been a crazy time for everyone, but a lot of things that I was doing kind of came to a halt, like projects and things that were more integrated or depending on travel and stuff like that, which is a shame, but also it's kind of funny because my regular life over the last decade, I decided years and years ago that if all I could ever do was just surf Sunset for the rest of my life, that's all I would do. Like, perfect,
Yeah.
cool, I'm happy. So ironically, I have the boards for it, and there's been waves, and we gratefully, get to surf. And I work at the natural food store, the organic food store here on the North Shore. So yeah, that's still open because I'm an essential worker now, apparently. It's pretty ironic, all the things people tell you to do, like, have kids or like start a business and stuff. You're like, oh, well, in the case of emergency, I'm really stoked that life is like incredibly simple for me. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
all.
it's. I think it's taken everyone, especially me too, like to step back, simplify things, and just appreciate what we got in front of us instead of looking. I think for me, it's been um, the noise in my head. There's nothing like, what am I doing in 2 weeks? What am I doing in a week? It's like I'm just living like literally in the now, which for people like us is sort of
Yeah,
rare. It's just so much going on. I'm like getting pulled in 10 different directions, and it's sort of nice to just wake up and just, it's like whatever's going to happen today is going to happen
yeah.
today.
Exactly. Enjoy the day, get out, see what's up.
Yeah. And then,
It's pretty
so
simple. It's awesome.
it is simple, but I did see you in the surf. We had that big west swell about maybe 10 days ago. Did see you out in the
Which
surf,
one?
Sunset. It's the
Yeah.
one I wanted to ask you because it was the one that I heard you and another couple of guys, Matt, you guys got pretty pounded, right? Take me through that. I heard it was. I saw Matt
Yeah.
the other day. And he said he thought he was gonna black out.
It was pretty heavy. Like, the three of us, too. It was me, Matt, and Derek, who you also know. He lives right down the street from us. Um, and we all three of us have like a lot of experience surfing Sunset. You always see them out there
Yeah,
too. So, of course, with the experience, you have a lot of times you've been worked and stuff. And it was second reefing and west, and yeah, just beautiful, crazy sunset. And I know that I was outside the first reef, and I thought I was on like the channel marker almost. And I'm pretty sure I was. And then those two guys were like inside of me even further and deeper. And this giant set broke, and I don't know what happened. Like, the first one, I don't really remember what happened. And then the second one, by the end of the second one, I had been dragged to right next to those guys, all underwater. I don't know. It's just like the longest distance I've ever traveled underwater on one wave at sunset. I think it's like a record-setting moment. And then there were more and
yeah,
more, and we washed up mother side of Val's, where the river breaks there. And we just sat there on the beach. Like, Derek, I guess, had a 2-wave hold down, and Maddie said he didn't think he was coming up. Like, it was it was nuts. Yeah. It was really peaceful for me. It was also a little bit worrying, but it was like, how you just like, I don't know, it just kicks in, like the instinctual thing, find the peaceful side of things when you're really just like not coming up, and it's clawing your way through foam between waves. And
yeah,
no flotation and that kind of thing. It's like a different mindset. And then you have that experience for the next time you get caught inside at an outer reef. Woo!
Yeah, I mean, Sunset's no joke. I mean, I think that it gets forgotten about how heavy that place is, because like even when you think about it, we go to all these other places, you are wearing flotation. So sometimes the wipeouts at say a Jaws on a same size day or bigger day, like is not as bad as a wipeout at 12 to 15 foot Sunset without flotation. And I just go back to like the old days, and it's sort of like you get a little bit complacent sometimes, you know, and you realize that, wow, man, Sunset will kick your ass. And for me, like I've always, like when I used to not live here and I used to come and travel, like if I would get 10 days of Sunset, like a good couple back-to-back swells, I would always be like, that's the absolute best training for the outer reefs and for everything, because it will kick your ass so bad, Sunset, you know, and you would get surf fit so fast. I'm like, just give me a couple of weeks of good Sunset, 6, 8, 10 feet, and I'm ready for anything. And I mean, I think that just proved it the other day. So, well, I'm glad you're still here.
It's so
that
true.
was,
yeah. Thanks. It really keeps you in line. It keeps you honest.
Yeah. And in April, not December or January, in April. It's crazy.
Know. How crazy is that? I was like, all right, I guess I can't be like bummed or anything. Like, that was awesome. Let's do it again.
Yeah. Well, I had a pretty funny story this morning too. So I was up early. I got up at 5:30, got my ski ready with Barton Lynch. We've been on a little cool program where we've been getting in the water at dark and towing in at Phantoms. It's been really fun because I've got an injury, so I can tow, but I can't really paddle. So it's my excuse anyway. Yeah. And we're out there doing our thing, and we're out there floating around. And there's two, like with jet skis, there's two rookie mistakes you can make, basically. And everyone does it multiple times usually. One is you don't put the bungs in the ski, and you're so excited from the night before, or you get in the water and you see the ski start to sink, and you're like, why is the ski sinking? Oh, I should have put the bungs in. That's probably number one. And number two is you suck the rope up. You know, the rope will get under the ski and you're not paying attention, and you hit the throttle and it sucks up, and you know, your ski's dead in the water. And I've never done that. Since lifeguarding, 18, 25 years of riding, like, and I don't know why. I probably should have done it because I've been an idiot most of my life. So, but this morning out there with Barton talking away, no one's around, you know, like, and I saw the rope coming under the ski. I was idling. It was fine. I grabbed the rope. I knew it was going, and I feel this thump. I looked at Barton. I said, did that just happen? He's like, pulls it, and he goes, yep. I'm like, God damn. So like, I'm like getting the phone. I'm calling my buddies on the beach that live there. And he's like, hey, what do you think this set's going to do? And I look up, I'm like, well, it's either going to get us, I'm losing the phone and the ski, or I'm just going to get on the phone and we're going to make it. And we just like float over 2 sets. I call Mel and Mike Slattery. I get off, get some fins on. We kick it out, get away from Phantoms, and we start floating towards backyards. And then, lucky enough, within 20 minutes, Slattery's come out. We hooked up the ski. We went back and we made it in. So, it was pretty cool. It was just, fun. You know, I get one of those things, man. Like it's the total rookie mistake, and I'd never done it before, and I did it this morning, and so that was my little excitement for the morning. But so yeah. But hey, Emi, I want to.
He would just smile.
Yeah. We were floating around. He's like, you know what? He goes, as long as we don't get cleaned up by a wave, I'm sort of happy just floating out here for a while. It sort of feels nice. I'm like, yeah, it sort of feels nice.
Like, but I feel so stoked.
Yeah, I'm like, but I got a podcast I got to do, so I got to get in. So, so I just realized I want to know more about, like, you think you know someone, right? Like Emi, I know Emi. I see Emi all the time. I know, you know, Dad's Roger and all this cool stuff. But then I realized, like, I don't really know Emi that well from childhood, you know, like, and so I'd like to try and start, like, maybe, I know that you moved back to Hawaii when you were about 18 or 19, right? But before that, like, were you born in Hawaii, went to California? Like, take me through the Emi Erickson story from, like, you know, as far as you want back, like from childhood until you sort of end up getting back to Hawaii around that, you know, teenage years at 18 or 19.
Okay. So yeah, I was born here in Hawaii and lived on the North Shore as a kid. And, we had a beautiful garden. My mom planted. My dad was like just going crazy in the water and in life and lifeguarding and that kind of thing. And then we moved when I was 6 over to the East Coast. My mom's parents over there were just awesome. Got to know them before they passed. And my parents split. I went through school and everything, pretty much just took care of my sisters. And I was a runner. I wasn't in the water really. Like, I kind of knew a little about, like, the old stories of, like, whoever, I don't know. I actually really didn't know anything about surfing, which is kind of funny. Like, people would probably not expect that. Surfers know about surfing. I kind of just knew, like, these weird stories about my dad and his friends and, Jose Angel and stuff like that, which kind of lived in, like, a fanciful part of my brain for my childhood years. And then, so yeah, I was a runner and cross country and track and stuff like that, and just took care of my sisters. And then I didn't really know what to do with life, and I was a great student, and I got into UH, into like an environmental science program. So I ended up coming back when I was 17, and then I was boogie boarding Sunset for a year, like an entire winter. And I just really liked it. Like, I would be out there on the big days and everything and just boogie boarding. And I just loved it. Like, I don't know. I was good at swimming and stuff too. And obviously had great cardio and lungs and everything from the running. So I survived and I did great. And I had a lot of fun. And I was absolutely fell in love with Sunset. And I know everyone knows that I love Sunset, but it's like really strange because for me, it's like kind of like coming home because we moved around so much, and then a lot of my childhood was like a lot of things were very sporadic and kind of just crazy. That when I came back and I found that I just became just like obsessed with it. Like, I felt like I found a part of myself finally that I didn't really know, about, and then it helped me get through a lot of things too, growing up in that age. And then, so the next winter I started surfing. I grabbed a board from out from under Dad's place because he was living at Rockies then. And I would walk down past the Sunset Tower and paddle out. And yeah, I just did it. Like, I just saw people doing it and I did it. And then here we are.
And so, like, I mean, Sunset's, it's such a, I mean, that was when I first started to spend a lot of time too. Sunset was like, it's such a, like, not an easy spot, but it's such a, you can pull up, you can see it. It breaks at like 1 foot off the point to maxing out Sunset. You can surf it in any sort of direction, any size, and you can really challenge yourself like steps, from 4 feet to 6 feet to 8 feet. Second reef, different. I mean, it's such a great training ground for and like you say, like I grab my board and I'm in the water at Sunset in 2 minutes. Like same as me. Like if I just had to surf Sunset for the rest of my life, I think I would be fine too, because you're still going to get that thrill of giant waves, and you can go out. I can go out with my kids at 1 foot. Yeah, my wife can still surf it. There's all it's so awesome. So I can understand the love affair with it. And so did your dad like at that? Yeah, and then at that stage, are you, your dad was such a sort of, I guess, larger than life figure back in those days, and I read some pretty cool stories about him, when he was at his peak there. But at this stage, are you like going to him and asking questions? Is he understanding what's going on, like your love affair starting, or are you just sort of like trying to do the opposite? Like, your dad's this famous Roger Erickson, but I'm just going to sort of do it myself. Like, was he pushing you? Were you asking him? How did that dynamic play out?
It's kind of funny because so then I was what, 18, 19 when I started surfing. So he would have been 50, mid 50s. And, so he was he would paddle in the water a little bit. He wasn't really like surfing so much. I think I got out at Sunset with him like maybe a handful of times.
Mm.
But that was it really. And I don't know, it wasn't deliberate, it wasn't like calculated, it just, I don't know, it was it just sort of, it just happened. I don't know. I'm not sure if he really wanted me to be in the water and in more like serious conditions. I don't know if he was afraid for me or anything, but like we're both incredibly stubborn, strong-headed people sometimes. So if he told me to do something, I was just like gonna do whatever I wanted to do anyways. I think he recognized
Yeah.
that because he has the same trait. And we would discuss certain things, and there are definitely like little bits of wisdom that he imparted on, that I took to heart. Like there's one thing he told me, like between big sets, sometimes you see like a turtle pop up and they're just like chilling, and then you see him go under, and because they can feel the energy before you ever see it or feel it really. They know that the set's coming, so just certain things, like maybe they're superstitious or
Yeah.
maybe they're whatever, but like, in what we do, the mind plays such a central role, like a lot more than most people put work into. They put so much work into their bodies and whatever now, but the mind, I think, is really really the most powerful tool. And that's how I got into this. I had a lot of mental things to work through, but I had a lot of confidence in myself, and I knew where I felt like a real connection, and I pursued it, and that's that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I feel like when you're like an athlete, you can tell you're an athlete, like from running, swimming, you have that confidence in like just being in the ocean. Like, even if I'm not the greatest surfer right now, if I snap my leash or don't have a leash and I'll lose my board, whatever it may be, like you're going to be fine. And that comes
Yeah.
with like a great, the confidence of that is awesome, and then being able to do that, and then just, yeah, I mean, you know, being born in Hawaii, I think there's something, that I feel like even my girls, like, even if they decide to leave or like and come back or whatever, like when you're born here, there's just some mana, the energy, it's just in you forever. You can't shake that, and you probably felt that. That's probably why you are where you are now. Like that part of Hawaii is in
Yeah.
you, and it brought you back. And then you got the
It's
genes,
funny,
the
right?
DNA.
Yeah. For sure.
So yeah,
I'm a lot more like my
that's
parents than I ever thought.
yeah. You realize that when you get a bit older, right? It sort of scares you.
A little bit. Should just scare everyone else, but it scares me as well.
Yeah. So I want to move on to I guess maybe Waimea, because I would say that say Waimea slash the Eddy. Like Waimea seems to be a real favorite wave of yours as well. Yeah, you have a really, I'd say, like a love affair with that wave, and I know why. It's such an amazing place. But I know your dad. He competed in the, I want to say, 1986 and the 1990 Eddies. I saw him I've done some research last night, and I saw him interviewed about a pretty insane wipeout that he took one of those years. And then you were actually invited this past year, right? The first time, or a bunch of the women have been invited to the main event. So, and I was obviously there with you. I saw your dad was there. I saw your family and some really like close friends of yours, and that was like a real special moment for you, because I remember the first time that I got a full invite, like how special that was for me. So, take me through that sort of feeling of, like your dad being in the Eddy and Waimea being such a special place, and then all of a sudden, like, Emi's in the Eddy. That's pretty radical.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's like, the pipe dream you always like believed could come true, but you didn't quite believe it could come true because obviously the whole gender thing or whatever, there's a million people who surf the bay, a million people who think they deserve it or want it or whatever. But yeah, the bay's always just like, it's like sunset, you paddle, like for me, I paddle out, and there's like this feel that just it's like coming home again. And so that's kind of a similar feeling as to what I feel surfing the bay. And yeah, I guess it's funny, like I see, and I said this to Cassie actually about your girls. I was like, it's so cool, you guys, um, that your kids get to grow up not believing that anything's really impossible for them. You know, they get to go out on the ski with you. They get to go see, you know, the water, the way it works. You get to see Cassie being so strong and, you know, doing all this cool stuff, and, you know, family friends like me paddling out to sunset, like, you know, but the gender difference isn't like such a strong playing thing in their minds, probably at this point, at least in their lives. And I don't know, I just think that's pretty important. So when looking at like the Eddie invites and all this and the way things have changed with, you know, people surfing the bay, it's awesome. It feels really good. I've put a lot of time in, and, you know, I love the place and I love everything that celebration stands for. You know, that's really what it is. So it just felt amazing. Like, Dad, obviously, and everyone knows all about him, and, you know, or certain things, whatever, and it's cool. It's like second generational, like, continuum of the path or whatever. Like, it really does feel really quite fateful. Like, a lot of the things that I do, like, you know, when you get that sense of like the deja vu, like I've been here before or whatever. Like, I get the craziest senses of things, and I can't decide if it's just me tripping out on life or if that's like really the experience. You know, like, it's all in your mind, anyways. But yeah, I don't know. It is the dream come true.
Yeah.
Every big wave surfer wants to be invited to the Eddie. You know, like, that is the true celebration of the essence of the thing that you strive to be. Like, that's it.
Yeah, I think the Eddie is the, you know, we have all these events and this and that, but when it comes down to it, like, it's just that standalone event that will just stand the test of time. It's just, you just have to say the Eddie. Like, that's all you have to say.
Yeah.
There's, like, no more needs to be said, you know. And Waimea is like such that, you know, you park at the church and you wax up your board and you know, you see all the people like funneling down. You walk down past the church and then you see all the photographers or whatever, say hello, then you walk onto the beach and you do the paddle out, and it's such a, I get goosebumps thinking about it, you know. It's such a cool spot. And then you see the church, like, you know, it's very spiritual, like, you know what I mean, the church is there and the way, and you were saying about the turtles, like, for some reason I always see, and they say that Eddie is a turtle out at Waimea, right? And then every now and then you'll be, and I've seen it where I've seen a turtle pop up like just like 20 yards from me, and I've been out of position. I've seen someone that's right where that turtle was, and that wave came right to them. I'm like, whoa, she's like tripping me out right now.
It happens.
So it happens.
Every time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
It's
so what's
it's real. I mean, it's not just superstition.
Yeah. And then what's your take on, I mean, obviously you want the Eddie to run, you know, like, were you disappointed that we didn't get a chance to go this year? Were you ready? Physically, you were ready this year?
Yeah, I mean, I was born ready, man.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, good answer.
If it happens, if it happens, it happens. You know, I don't think it's something like any of us could be like, oh, I'm disappointed. Like, I'm grateful and stoked to be recognized and invited, and then when it happens, that's when it's meant to happen. Like, I'll be ready. That's when.
Yeah.
Easy. I mean, I've been putting like over a decade of pretty much every big significant swell and time and experience and sacrificed work and life and every single thing in life to be there, and I love it. And so that's exactly how I feel about it.
Yeah. And then who's your go-to crew? You know what I mean? Are you I mean, I know you sort of beat to your own drum a fair bit, but like, do you have a certain crew? You know what I mean? Like, if you're going surfing the bay, like, is it, you know, you call up some guys, some girls? Is it a mix of people? Like, are there some girls that you like to go surf with to, you know, push each other, or is it just sort of like, you just know where I'm just going to the bay, I'm going to see everyone out there anyway, or is it?
I thought you were my crew, though.
Well, yeah.
I'm a little bit of just like a lone wolf. I don't know, I guess. But yeah, I mean, living here, it's a small community, you know everyone, and everyone who's going to be interested in going. So there's always a little bit of like chatter going on, like a few of the girls, like Sylvia and Polly, because they always they like to go paddle out there too, and Raquel, and I don't know. Do I meet up
It's
with
real
people?
easy
Sometimes like Matt Rott. Yeah, I just kind of
Yeah.
go. I don't know if that,
Yeah.
because you know you're
Makes
about to see
sense.
70 of your closest friends, so like, don't worry.
Yeah,
Don't worry,
it's
they're
not like
gonna all be there.
yeah, it's not like it's not like there's a lack of people to go surf with over here.
Nah. But actually, yesterday, funny enough, the bay was breaking. It wasn't huge, but it was so cool. The end of April, you're out there, just get the feel. It's mostly pinballs, but then there's like the random one. And
Yeah.
actually, I don't know if you know Connor, Mark Fu's nephew. Him and I had like the nicest wave of the day. I think it was stood up so nice, and he was riding one of Mark Fu's old boards. I thought it was pretty ironic.
Wow, that's
I don't know if
cool.
you know him. He's a really cool friend of mine, but yeah, that was lovely.
Yeah,
And I
nice
was
way to
actually
finish it
riding
off.
the board that Dad shaped, so we both had like these crazy old ancient boards.
Is
Anyways,
that the one your dad shaped? The still the one with the black stripe?
the blue stripes, that one.
It's the blue
Hand-shaped.
stripes.
And I think
Yeah.
Randy Rarick helped with that one. And actually that one is like pretty much responsible for my whole journey, because it was just such a phenomenal, I don't know, connection with the board or whatever. So Waimea and all the great sunset and the big West Side days. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The black stripe ones, the first black stripe one, like almost a decade ago now, that was with Lyle Carlson. The blue stripe board was actually our inspiration for it. So, and that board, has been a terror around the world ever since.
So I can't. This is a great chance for me to jump in about boards, because I mean
Okay.
I egg you a little bit about the single fin, but I trust
You
your
do.
judgment.
Everyone
But
does.
well, I don't do it like I'm not really trying to get you on a thruster or a quad fin. I just like to ruffle your feathers a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but what I mean, obviously, you do. Feel like you're an old soul, right? And that's not being. I hope that's that. Take that to offense, but you're an old soul. I feel like you understand the history. Obviously, your dad. Grabbing the board under the house, and just like if that board feels great, then why change it? I mean, I guess experimenting is awesome and stuff like that, but when something works so good, I mean, I've seen you get amazing waves at Waimea and stuff, and you look as solid as anyone out there, and what is it about the single fin that makes you just sort of like focus solely on that? And then I know you work with Lyle Carson a lot. I know Kyle, great guy, great shaper, makes great boards. Has he tried to even like get you off the path a little bit, or is it are you guys are just in synchronicity where it's just like Emi's riding single fins, we're just gonna focus on making the best single fins that we can?
Lyle, so yeah, he shaped me a few quads, and been like, yeah, you can ride anything, and it's true. It's all mental. It's whatever. And I, last summer I was actually having a go on some quads at Puerto. Felt really nice. I like that. Found a few good ones. But as far as like these waves here, I don't know. Like, yeah, I can switch it up. Traded boards with Jamie Sterling the other day. I surfed his thruster, and he surfed the single fin I was riding, and it's all fun. But I am a little bit slower. I've been yelled at for my surf style because it's apparently not correct according to some people. Whatever. Like, I don't know. I just maybe. Like, I tend to be a little knock-kneed sometimes or whatever, but I like to feel like a nice flow glide type feeling, and it fits like my speed and whatever. So
Your personality.
yes, my yeah, I'm so slow to wake up in the morning. No. I don't know. It just feels good. It's hard to explain. I like to ride all kinds of stuff, but I feel like I have a lot more success on single fins, and you might as well embrace that. I'm not trying to be anyone else. Like, it's just how it is. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I did it at Jaws, and everyone told me I would eat shit and die. So, hey.
Yeah.
look, I actually made waves once upon a
Yeah.
time.
And I mean, it's all confidence. Everything's confidence. I mean, confidence in big waves is, I mean, God, it's like 95% of everything. You know, it's whether it's confidence in
For
your
sure.
ability, your mental confidence, how you feel. Like, did you get some good sleep? Like, just everything is just like, you know, how your mojo is. And you know, like if you've got a go-to board that you just know like in and out, that's just your magic board, then it doesn't matter, because that thing, you know what it's going to do, and you're going to get waves, and you're not going to be thinking about, am I on a new board here? Am I going
Yeah.
to eat shit? Am I going to, like, you just, it's
Yeah.
automatic, right? You don't even think about it. You just paddle out and you go surf. And you know, to all those people
Exactly.
about your
Yeah.
style, to your style, just do that to those guys, because I love your style. I actually
Oh,
think I
I
just
do.
said
Don't you worry.
in an interview, I think you're the most stylish big wave women surfer we have. You know what I mean? I like that. I like
Oh,
that
thank
style.
you.
You know, it's like it makes it look graceful. It's like you're the Stephanie Gilmore of big wave surfing. You know what I mean? I think that's the way I put it, you know, because it's just
She surfs
it's
so
nice, you know.
beautifully.
Yeah, and she, you know, you
Yeah.
can see it
I
even when
don't
she
know.
surfs a single fin or a twin fin. She's just got this flow and grace about her that just it's easy on the eye. You
Yeah.
know, it's cool.
She looks like
So
she's having fun. You know, you want to
exactly.
look like you're having fun. Like even in big waves, if you're not having fun, why are you doing it? You know,
Yeah,
that's how I feel
yeah,
about it. So
that's for
I just
sure.
wanted to dial. I like to dial in, you know, my one or two or whatever boards, and then you know exactly how it's gonna make the drop, how the rail's gonna feel, whatever. It's like
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, cool. All right. Well, I wanted to get into the specific into some women's stuff. We just, I mean, it's been the last few years has been such a like crazy ride for you girls. You know, like equality for pay and all that stuff. It's been pretty wild. But I mean, do you think like do women face any specific challenges? You know, in the big wave world, do you think like is there anything specific that you guys battle with all the time?
I mean, there's a lot of double standards for sure, and you know, whether that's injury, which I faced myself, or, you know, the money thing, or performance, or judgments of whoever, you know, the decisions of what even's going to happen in the sport based upon, like, it's just honestly too much to even think about. I think the best thing to do is, like, to lead with your actions. Sure, like, you can lead with your words and stuff, but if you don't, like, bring it to the table, you know, nothing's going to happen. I get really sick of the whole thing, honestly. I get really sick of the whole conversation around it, the men battling the women type thing. Like, you're a friend of mine. I love surfing with you. You're a guy. I think to see the difference in people based solely around gender is an extremely unevolved way of thinking of things. And then people who do that, I literally just write them off. I just really
Yeah.
don't even talk to me. Like, goodbye. That's how I feel. I don't want to like operate or be open to this like lower vibrational thinking, which is that men and women are so separate and so different and this and that. And there's like so much, I think there's a lot to be celebrated and whatever you are, whatever you're doing. I'm not going to think of myself as so different because I'm just a woman. I do think it's
Yeah.
incredibly annoying when guys I've never seen paddle past me in a lineup because they see that I'm female in their floaty suits.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but you know, hey, that's fair game for me. Like, okay, like
Yeah.
let's go. I can play
Yeah.
psychological warfare on those suckers like all day. So that's kind of what surfing has turned into for me. The main, you know, there's not even a lot of opportunities. Like what's even going on in this professional surf world? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Am I supposed?
Yeah.
Aren't I supposed to be one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there
we
you
can
go.
dive more
There's
into
my
that
take on
too. And
it.
I think no, yeah. I mean, yeah, and look, I've got two daughters, and I want them to grow up to think that the world's their oyster. You know, what I mean, they can do whatever they want. You
Yeah,
know, like put your mind to it. You can achieve anything you girls want to achieve. Like, don't expect it, and don't expect things going to be given to you. You still have
yeah,
to work hard, but you can do anything you want. You know, and go after it. You know what I mean? Like, and like those little things that like you get irked on, like use that as fire. You know what I mean? Like use that to
Exactly.
be
That's what I
better.
do.
You know what I mean?
It's
Yeah. And like you
powerful.
say, like the
Yeah.
guys paddle past because you're like, oh, who's this chick in the lineup? Like, but then they don't even like it's not even like a question. It's just like it's just automatic like thought process, you know. And I guess that's a perfect
Yeah.
answer to like that's a challenge that I guess all women in all surfing face, is that stigma of like
Yeah.
just not even questioning that, So
It's an automatic
th- th-
assumption that like makes it automatically more dangerous for women in the lineup. Is that
yeah,
perspective from just
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just
because
ridiculous.
the progression of women surfing has gotten crazy. I mean, it has from, like I remember when like I used to be just Maya when she was living out here like years ago. She was like one of the only ones, and then Jamila was out and about here and there, and but now there's just there's so many girls. Like you got like Paige, Bianca, yourself, Justine. You've got Nicole Pacelli and Raquel, and there's I mean, especially in this little zone, Sunset, like there's a bunch. There's like a posse of 5, 6, 7 really good girls at charge and out and about.
Yeah.
But wonder why do you think there isn't more? Like I mean, there is more than there has been, but still in the scheme of things, there's not more. Like, why isn't there more big wave women surfers? You think is it I don't know why.
Um, you know, it's become so the big wave thing, like I think it's become a little more glorified now by all the some of the competitions. Oh, sorry, I keep bumping this thing. The competitions and the money and the sponsor, the whatever, like it's getting a little bit more popular. And there's definitely more attention. I think that's still a problem for women in general is just the idea, oh, I can do this, like the strength, the assumptions that live within them that they've been raised to believe or whatever. Like I think I fall into that sometimes. Like there will be sessions where I'm just like, people are doing the runaround the whole time and I'm just like so over it. I'm like, I'd rather go like do anything else. I don't even want to fight this when it's always a fight. It's I don't feel like that's my like essential nature all the time is to fight. That's not enjoyable for me. And I think that women maybe have a little bit more wisdom in that aspect, and so they don't want to fight all the time like that, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think looking at some of the young girls coming up, especially this year. I mean, Jaws this year was like it was big and big and windy by the end, but
So
that young
windy.
like Skylar Lickle, Brett Lickle, one of the original strap guys, his daughter, Annie Reichardt, a young girl from Maui as well. I mean, Annie Starr. Yeah. I mean, God, man, those girls were really impressive. Some of the
they just went for
really
it.
young up and coming girls. Like, is there anyone else? Is there anyone else that you see apart? Like, I know they're two of the more like famous ones because they were in the contest. But is there any more girls on the Wahoo or around around the world that you see that are coming up, or is it sort of just what we see in front of us?
It's kind of hard to say. Like, I don't really know. Jaws is a different level too. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't. It's just a whole different level of surfing and whatever, and then all the stuff you have to have in the world in order to even get there or be included. Like, yeah, women have other women probably have a long way to go with that. It's not easy. Yeah. You got to have even just the time to be there.
Yeah.
I don't know who has the time to be there. I barely have the time.
Yeah, I guess that bides well into my next question is like, where do you think you see women's, professional big wave surfing in say 5 years? Is that something that you probably obviously don't think about it, but like where do you think it would be?
You can read my thoughts, can't you?
where do you think it would? 2-part question. Where do you think it would be, and then where would you like it to be? In say 5 years time.
Yeah, you are right. I don't think about it. I have never been sponsored. I can't put my energy into that. I work at a grocery store selling people organic food in the North Shore community. I bust my ass doing surf lessons and pretty much every other job you can ever have on the North Shore. So I do not think about where big wave women surfing is going to be. I do think about how much I'm going to enjoy the next Westwell at sunset. Um,
Mm.
but I would love to see, sure, a little bit more opportunity, a little bit less division, a lot less of fight of gender against gender type thing. Like, I don't know. I would like to see a little bit more character. Um, I think it's a lot more interesting when people have character that's not just fight against something. Like, like I've seen these old like surf mags. There when I was in, I think J Bay or something. Derek Hine gave me this one, and it was like, an interview with BK about sunset and about how that was the spot and that was the deadliest thing or something like that. And it's funny because the writing and all the quotes and everything were just so like of the time, like of the essence, and like I feel like that's really what gets lost in surfing in general. A lot of sports now, like people have to please the people that have money, and that's all cool, but I still have nothing to lose, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No,
I think it's a lot more interesting, to get to know what actual people are, what they actually do, how hard they work, the terrible things that have happened in their lives or whatever, and then how they are, their personality. It's pretty cool.
yeah.
Like, are you a human or are you a robot?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that we have some crazy characters like women, man in the big wave, like past, present,
We
old,
do.
like it's crazy. You walk down the beach, and I mean, I see your dad every day. Like your dad walks past my house. I see him on the beach getting some sun. I see Al Chapman at
Yeah.
sunset. You know what I mean? Like there's just these
Yeah.
legends, and then you've got like the people that are doing it now. Guys like Jamie Sterling, that was a sponsored kid that won a world title, that now is unsponsored, still charges, could do anything. You know what I mean? And then, I mean, the big wave thing is sort
Yeah.
of like just, I mean, it really has fallen apart. It's sent, if you're thinking it as a like a profession, like we really don't have professional big wave surfing right now. Like the people that are sponsored are very few and far between. There's one contest. It's at Jaws. The men
The
want it to
world
be
title.
yeah. The women want it to be like, the
stop.
men want it to be like 50 feet, and the women, well, I'm not saying they don't want it to be that, but I think that like it would be awesome for me. It would be awesome to see the women get the conditions that they would like to get and perform.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be great
A
to be able to
glassy
get the
day
men
would be
the
amazing.
conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that would really progress. Not, I mean, again, not fighting for the same thing. Like you got one swell, you're trying to make the men and the women happy, and sometimes you only get one or two swells.
Jamie,
It gets
but big waves aren't always good waves, and there's definitely like
no,
this very underappreciated like art of like getting your ass kicked without flotation, or just making the decision of like when is a good wave, when is it too windy. Just because it's big doesn't mean you should like.
yeah,
There's a little bit of there's a huge judgment shift from what I have seen in the older generation as to what's going on now, because of equipment changes, because of skis, because of all these different things. But the outcome, the injuries now, I mean, you're facing some terrible stuff still. It's not like concussions are ever going to be like less bad, or like your leg
yeah,
getting ripped apart like less traumatizing. It's a judgment call that I think like is really important. And I don't know, competitions don't make sense to me in big waves, to be honest, at all.
yeah. Yeah, I can sense that you struggle between this like reality of like you want to do the contest, and it would be great and to do all this stuff, but then like you want to keep it just how you back soulful, but there's this, you teared this way, you tore that way, and then like, do I not go to Jaws? Do you really care? But then you sort of do care, and then you do, and then you go and hurt yourself, right?
Well,
And then you have,
you
I mean, it's
know,
hard
you
because like
want,
you
yeah,
want to, right? You want to do it, but then it's like shit. And but do I really, really, really want to surf 20, 25 foot windy jaws? Like, is that, like, but then you sort of, it's such
it's
a tough,
hard.
and it's so hard to make that decision
It's a
because
hard
you get one
decision.
chance.
You wanna, yeah, you wanna seize the opportunity, and then like, you guys have had a bunch of chances. You've had all these events and stuff, and you guys really like essentially built the Big Wave Tour, which I remember like those earlier days, and I remember Jensen telling me about like Todos or this or that, and it's just interesting. It's like now, for the women, it's like we're still starting. This whole thing is new, and that first Jaws event with the women, that was a huge experiment that I don't believe was really set up to be very I
Successful.
don't know, successful. Honestly, it was so windy. I weigh a lot, like less than most of the men. I'm like 140 pounds. Like, I'm sorry, this isn't a matter of like whether I charge as hard as you or this. If it's 20 knots and it's like this wave moves way faster than I surf norm, I don't know. I just see things with a different light. I have literally waited on pretty much like everyone's table on the North Shore while having a bum knee because of situations. Like it's what, 4.5 years after ACL, MCL surgery, my quad and calf were ripped off too. Like that, it still hurts every single day. What I'm doing now is with the pain, and not just the memory, the trauma, whatever. I have a really strong mind. I can push that past that kind of stuff fairly well. But the physical pain and actually living your life like that for the rest of your life, this is a reality. So you want to go surf Jaws, you want to go do these things, you want to seize the one opportunity there is for women's surfing and whatever, and everyone thinks it's the greatest thing in the world. Well, I've kind of already been through like the ringer of that, and then I went back and surfed and it was great and everything, but when you're a normal person and you gotta wait on people's tables or ring them up for groceries and go to work and be able to like function as just a human in society, you gotta weigh all these things in the balance. Just because you do well at Jaws doesn't mean you're a great human, like, or whatever. Maybe you just surf out front for the rest of your life and you have the greatest life ever. Jaws is not the decider, It's really, it's hard because it's the one opportunity. It's the one thing, and you want to capitalize, and sure, I'm sure winning feels great. I've never won anything in my life, I don't think.
You lie. You won Nell Scott.
Okay, well, yeah, I did. Okay.
So, but what was I gonna? I just lost my train of thought. Oh, no, what I was gonna say was, I think, like, for me personally, I think that I would like to see big wave surfing tell the story. I would like to see the stories told about individuals. Create, like, who is Emi Erickson? Like, and tell the stories. I think the UFC do a great job at that with their fighters. Like, I love the UFC. I love the storytelling they do, the training, the lead up, and like they do all this, and it's all the lead up until they go in and kick the shit out of each other for 5 minutes, right? It's like the same as us. We do all this training and lead up, and then we go get our ass kicked for an hour or two until we paddle back to the beach with our tail between the legs. But what I see is like telling these stories, the storytelling, and then going and chasing a swell and documenting that, and like we did, like, I mean, still to this day, like over the last 5 years, the best like surf sort of mission that we did was, for me, was to Mavericks for the Olympic channel. Me, you,
that was so
Aaron
cool.
Gold, Garrett. And it was just, we had this big boat. The surf was like wasn't gigantic. It was really approachable. Like, there was no, like,
that was fun.
we didn't have to get out there and prove ourselves. Like it was just a really fun 2-day surf mission, and I remember sitting with Aaron, and Aaron's a freaking maniac. I remember just sitting on the bow of the boat with him and just going, dude, I had so much fun. Like, We weren't out there. It wasn't death defying. We weren't like competing against each other to try and get the biggest wave or anything. It was just like, it was just fun, man. It was like really, really,
It
really
was
fun.
the
And to me,
experience. Yeah.
yeah. And I think to me, like, I think that's like, there's always going to be future for competition. I mean, there's just, it is, it's human nature. And I'm a product of competition, you know, like, but in my getting in more mature, I would say that, you know, I am tending towards like that style of stuff. Like I would like to see a story. I'd like that story told about me. You know, what's going on? Go and chasing your
Yeah.
swell. How do
I
you
want to
get there?
know
This
who
and that. You know,
is
like
Jamie Mitchell.
yeah, you know, so do I. But
Oh.
you know, I think that to me, I think that's I mean, right now without a tour, without a professional tour, without really any professional anything, I think that that's to me like where I'd love to see it going. I think that's more, it's more manageable, it's more attainable to do that. You know, like you're not looking, you don't need to be looking for like 100-foot waves. You know, there's plenty of like perfect, beautiful big waves like Todos, you know, like Mavs, like Waimea, like the Outer Reefs, you know, like there's just so many of them. So I don't know. I think that's for me, I think that's where I see, and I hope it goes, you know, at least we test that, you know, test the waters of how that goes, you know. And I think that would be great for,
Yeah.
you know, for men and women, the kids coming up, the, you know, all that stuff. I think anyway, that's my rant. I hope we see some of that come
I
through, you
like
know, in
it.
the next few years. You like it? Okay, you're
Yeah.
in.
I like
Number one
it.
on the list.
Okay.
And then, so what, you know, so going back to Jaws, you know, it seems like you have a bit of a love hate there. You know, that was it 2017? Was that the Jaws contest where you ripped your leg apart? Was it 17?
Whenever the first one was for women, you know,
Yeah,
the experiment.
I think it was I think it was
I think
2017.
it was
So obviously that was
16.
16. Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
that was a
Whatever.
horrible,
Whenever it was.
horrible injury, right?
Terrible. Yeah.
Like
I
MCL,
mean,
ACL, everything.
MCL, ACL, ripped off the bone, quad torn, my calf was detached on one side. I was just like,
Yeah. And then
life took
what
a
type of
major downturn.
And what I mean, what do you like? I see you running all the time. I know you like your yoga, but you know, say adding recovery to, you know, trying to get that fixed, but also on your day to day life, like training. Like what is training for Emi Erickson? Is it like healthy eating, you know, all that sort of stuff, and then adding to that like a little bit of running, yoga? Is there anything else that you do, or is that sort of generally the scheme of it?
Yeah. You know, I love running. I think it's like such a great meditation and all that. But I don't do it except on the sand now. I love to, you know, go for a bike ride, bike down the bike path, and then you know, on the beach I like to do about like 100 meters, jog, run, sprint, whatever. And then I stop and I do a bunch of, you know, body weight stuff or push-ups, that kind of stuff, and then I keep going, 100 meters more, 100, you know, and then I do that for about a mile and a half or so, come back, bike back. That's one of my favorite things to do. I like the yoga. I've been, you know, doing a yoga teacher training course, and I feel like what we already do in the surf, or at least for me, the way it is, you know, because you're so in your brain and like, you know, your moment on the wave is like your transcendence or something, like you break out beyond your human form of
Yeah.
experience. I don't know, it's even hard to explain, but yeah, so that's been one of the things. And then I have always been a huge advocate of you know, health, being healthy, eating for your nutrition, eating for recovery. And I've worked at Celestial for probably like a decade or something, on and off with all my other gigs through the years. So pretty ironic through the quarantine now that's still open. That's my only job that's been going. So
Yeah.
What else do I do? I don't know. Yeah, that's it.
Dance
really,
all night.
I love
Dance
to
all
hike.
night.
Yeah. No, okay. So I love hiking. I have a few little hikes I really, really love to do. I'm getting rained on right now. I don't know if you can tell. But yeah, I mean, I wake up in the morning, I put on some music, I make the coffee, and I dance around. If you don't do that, I don't know. Like that for me is such a happy way to start the day and whatever. And I think that's such a funny hashtag. No one, I don't know if anyone laughs about it other than me. And I don't
I
even
laugh.
really, I don't know. I just think it's funny. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to ask about, and you don't have, but the Jaws on 2018, right? So you come back from injury, get the courage to, go back out there and compete again, which, by the way, takes, like nearly a career-ending injury, right? And then you go out and there's a lot of sort of, I guess, I don't know, controversy about that, since you did well. Is that rain is coming down hard? But what's your thoughts on that? You did make the final. You made it. You made a really sick wave out there. And I think you finished third. Was it third? Did you get third in the final?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
did. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what? I'm not trying to get controversial or anything, but
What's
like,
your
what
What's
were
your
your thoughts
question?
on that? Or how did you think your
You
performance?
know,
Like,
I'll just lead into it with another story. So the night
yes,
before, I brought two boards. Again, I brought, the big black stripe 10-6 single fin, and I brought the quad, the blue one that I think I ate it on the previous time and destroyed the knee. So I brought those two boards, the same two boards I had brought the first time. The first time I listened to everyone, and I listened to them tell me, "Oh, you can't, you have to ride a quad. Like this is what works. This is what everyone does. This is what you've got to do. You know, you want to be serious. That's what you got to do." And so I listened and I rode that, and I was in the wave, and obviously there was too much wind. You saw the wipeout, and yeah, then I was like upside down and backwards in the barrel. Hey, I made it in a barrel at least once. But so the night before, the time coming back to Jaws and leading up to that, thinking through things like I'm in the hallway of the hotel and I'm waxing up the boards, and Ben Wilkinson is there, and he was there I think for Aaron. I think he was Aaron's caddy, right? I'm pretty
yeah,
sure. And Ben's such a great guy, and I was talking to him about it, and I was like, it's funny. Like, I just want to ride this thing. If I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out like on my board, like my board, like the one, you know. Just I know how to do this. And he's like, you know what? Don't listen to everyone else. You just do you. Like, do your thing. You already know this. You know how to, like, what? Stop listening to everyone tell you what to do. And I was like, you're right. You're so right. Why do I ever listen to when have I ever listened to anyone tell me what
yeah.
to do except that one time? And this is like it's the most powerful thing. Like it really is. And so, even on the boat the next day, I'm still not sure. I put the fins in the quad. I'm sitting there and they're yelling at me to get in the water, and I'm like, yeah, just a minute. And I'm just deciding. And so I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm riding a single fin. I take it out there, I get the jersey, and I was just like, if I get a wave, I'm extremely lucky. Like, if I can do this just once. Oh, by the way, the leash loop on my board was halfway pulled off, so I couldn't afford to eat shit or get caught inside. Like, I couldn't wipe out. I literally couldn't. Or the board that's been with me this entire time would be gone into the rocks. Like, leash or no leash, I could have just worn no leash. That would have really freaked people out. Same outcome for me though, huh? But yeah, so I didn't get caught inside. I didn't wipe out. Got a beautiful wave in the semis. Rode it to the shoulder. Again in the final, I did the same thing. I guess no one else in the entire competition did that. I felt incredibly stoked, incredibly grateful to walk away on my own 2 feet with working legs. I could go back to my life functional. I could come back and surf sunset. I could enjoy life. I could go on hikes. The whole other side of things with the wipeouts being scored and then 2 wipeouts being higher than I just like my opinion on that is pretty clear, and it's already gotten me in enough trouble. So
you won. You won in your mind. You went out. You did exactly what you said. You rode your single fin. You caught a wave. You didn't
it
wipe
doesn't
out.
matter.
And you
Yeah,
and you're able to come back and
matter.
continue on with your life that you love so
Yeah.
much. So it was a mental victory
Exactly.
more than anything. So I mean,
yeah.
well, that's cool, Emi.
It's
And then so
whatever.
like, is there any? Yeah. Do you have any like anyone that you really look up to, like inspirations, like anyone that motivates you? Like, who are your go-to people that do that for you?
You know, we serve with so many cool people. Like I like a lot of the energy in the water. You know, Nathan Fletcher, he has a very unique energy. He plays.
Yeah, I love Nate.
You know, his surfing, and he has fun with it. And he enjoys the beat downs, and you know, there's like every single part of it. Or I don't know if he enjoys it. Maybe I'm speaking for him, but it seems like from his face before he's getting cleaned up that he's just like there for the ride. You know. And I think that's so cool. Like people, it's just interesting getting to know people. And then Buttons always lives on in my memory because he was so happy and encouraging, but also like playful. Like I'm saying, like you make things fun. If you're too serious, it gets weird. You know.
Yeah.
They're both
cool.
So talented, so great energy, great surfing. You know. That stuff to me is really inspirational.
Yeah, awesome. I love Nathan Fletcher. He's what a unique, super smart, super smart guy, and amazing family. And I was at the skate park with my little girls just before they shut it down, and his two boys were down there, and I was like, oh my god, these two kids are like just these kids dropping down the half pipe from the top. I'm like, this kid's like a foot tall. I'm like, oh. And then Nathan comes in. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Nathan's kids. Go figure. You know what I mean?
I love it. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, all right, look, I've taken enough of your time, but I call this 5 to finish. 5 questions to finish the podcast. Okay, you ready?
Okay.
Yeah. All right, the best big wave in the world.
Oh, why are you doing that to me? Am I allowed to say sunset? Sunset.
100%. You can say whatever you want. Sunset's a big wave. All right.
Well, I would say another one, but I can't. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. The scariest or heaviest wave you've ever surfed?
Probably. I thought Dungeons was the scariest, probably, but maybe Jaws because it's like a life changer.
Yeah, they're 2 good ones. I've never surfed Dungeons, but I would just be freaked out by that paddle out and the sharks before anything else.
So freaky. So freaky.
What big wave haven't you surfed that you would love to surf?
Oh. Sorry. I don't know if that got interrupted. That was Jock Sutherland calling to give me avocados. Shoot, I kind of want to go back to South America and, Christian Morello. He lives right there. What's that left? Punta de Lobos? Is that it? I don't know. Is that Jock calling you too?
Yeah.
No way.
Punta de Lobos, yeah. No, that's my jet ski guy. I gotta turn the phone off. All right, number 4, the most underrated big wave in the world.
Wow, these questions are really showing like how spacey I am, huh? Also sunset. Go ahead. Next one.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Where is the next big wave discovery going to be?
Ooh, I don't know, but if I say something, those locals are probably going to get so mad at me. Why would I do that?
Why would you do that? All right, Emi. Hey, thank you so much for your time. I know it took a little bit of work to get this all teed up, but I love your work. I love your surfing. I love your style. I love you ride your single fin.
Right back at you.
I love that you're your own person, and keep doing you. And Thank you so much for being on the second episode of the Unnamed podcast.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie.